Tiffany.
I know, isn't it weird?
Yeah.
Your name Nicole?
Yeah.
Oh, weird.
What?
It's not. It's not.
Alexandria.
That's my middle name.
Limonero Green. Oh, not Limo.
Not anymore.
Anyway, I'm calling to you because I know you're gonna love this one.
Is it M&M related?
No, but it is something like another thing that you.
Okay. Is it cat related?
Not cat. What's another thing?
Stan.
That's M&M.
What are you known for? Like the thing.
Horoscopes.
Oh! Here we go. You know it's Mercury retrograde right
It
now.
is right
Don't
now.
make any big decisions.
'Cause
Don't
people
buy
be
a
getting
house. Don't be
fucked
signing
up.
commitments. Don't be signing big contracts.
Hasn't it been
when
Mercury
is-
retrograde for like 6 months now?
For like 6 years.
Really?
What's what? How?
Yeah, I've been signing really big contracts lately. So.
When does it end?
It ends July 17th. But
How long
then-
has it been going on for? You've been saying it's been on retrograde for like
No,
retrograde years.
there was
Every
another
3 months or
retrograde in the beginning. It was like in February or something.
What happens after July 17th?
Well, you gotta wait a week for the shadow period, and then you can sign some contracts.
How convenient that taxes are due right before.
Oh shit! You can defer.
Taxes right this year because of coronavirus.
What does it do?
You don't get a fee on the extension because of coronavirus, so you actually could file for yourself.
I think the new deadline is July 15th.
I don't care.
It's this month though for sure.
Anyway.
Fuck the taxes.
I already filed.
Yeah, just don't pay them. They don't exist. Stones.
Well, okay, this French restaurant coordinates its menu with lunar cycles.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
That already sounds tight though.
So it's got like a little cancer plan right now.
So if it's full moon, you get a full filet mignon, and if it's not, then you get a sliver of it.
Is it a crab right now? Cause it's cancer.
Oh, that'd be cute. Okay, so this chef, his name is Mauro Colagoreco, and he is a chef at a very popular restaurant in Paris.
Buddy.
And so he was saying, this is his quote, "During the lockdown, I worked a lot in the garden. It allowed me to work out all my worries and to be really in contact with the earth." Nice. So when it came time for him to reopen his restaurant, he decided to base his menus on the lunar cycle like he had been at home.
Oh.
He has his own garden. So he says that he began to question a lot of things, like the way that they work, the way society is developing, and the way that we produce and consume. And so they wanted to shake that equation and to say that the garden was part of the restaurant and the restaurant was part of the garden. So a lot of what they do is biodynamic. So for example, when they sow spinach, they do it on a leaf day, which is when the moon is rising, because there will be bigger concentration of energy on that part of the plant. And so on days that the moon is in any of the air signs, they are called flower days. And on those days, they would serve something like shrimps with rose petals, rhubarb, and almond milk. And so he's saying that this is he sees this as a way to help bring his customers more into direct contact with nature.
That's pretty cool.
I like that.
That's like Nikki with her clothes.
That's
She got the
true. Or-
blue day, red day.
It's a blue day today.
Nice.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Feng Shui is like that too with the
Blue day.
elements.
No, it's per person based on when you're.
Yeah, it's based on your birthday.
Mustard day.
What's your birthday?
But like, wasn't like all of this stuff like because like farming anyway? So it's kind of like going back full circle because like back in the day, they kind of like had harvest day.
Kind
and
of,
all
but
this
then not
day.
necessarily because he's using like astrology, like.
And he's doing a monthly cycle instead of like a big seasonal cycle too.
Oh,
Yeah.
like summer solstice and shit like that, you know?
Yeah.
Harvest, winter time.
That makes sense though, right? It's like there's better energy to the plant, so like on the day that there's strong energy to the plant, you're like serving the plant.
Might taste better.
Fuck yeah.
Even beyond just like the plant itself physically or scientifically, but like even in intention and energy, which you know, I believe in that, right?
You better.
It's like the intention to even do
That's
that
what it
is
is,
so
the
important,
intention.
right?
It's like, it's not about like, oh, I have to wear this on this day or whatever. It's that it makes you think about certain things on certain days. Like if I don't wear blue today, I'm not gonna die. Nothing's crazy is gonna happen. I mean, I might die, but it's not because of that. It's more about like, so blue represents positive change. So throughout the day, I'm just focusing on positive change. I'm like more aware of positive change, where positive change is happening. And it's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy where like what you focus on grows. So if you're focusing on positive change, it doesn't matter that the blue led you to that. It's just that like it's a nice reminder and like you're kind of serving that intention.
That's really cool,
I love
and
that.
it's kind of cool how you remember all that too. Cause I like to like read about things, and I'm like, oh, that's really interesting, but I don't actually like dive myself into it, like astrology and stuff. I'm just like, oh, that's what people say about my sign. Doesn't sound like me, but okay. And then I kind of move on. But I'm able to like read it, but not necessarily be about it.
Well, like I don't base my whole life. I'm not like religious about it. A lot of people think that if you like any of that, you're into like hocus pocus. You're very
But it's
gullible
fun
or
to
whatever.
pretend.
It's just fun to read about it and like then
It is fun.
take what you want and leave the rest. You know,
I am an Aries. That's such an Aries thing to do.
that's such an Aries thing.
Right? It's so funny.
I never really like cared as much, and it's not that I'm aware or anything like that, but like every single time, you know, when people who are really hyper focused on that, anytime you do something, you're like, oh, you're so Gemini. You're a Gemini, right? When were you born? You're so Gemini.
Yeah, that's annoying.
Yeah, well, it happened for so long that I finally was like, you know what? Fuck it.
Gemini.
I am a Gemini. That allows me to do all these weird things that you think I'm gonna do anyway.
So there,
My intention is to be Gemini, you know?
I chose this.
Yeah, it's more fun that way.
But did you know that like when they developed this stuff, the month is actually one off?
Yeah, there's an extra 13th one, right?
No, you're supposed to be the next
No, it's
Horoscope.
only if you're born after 2009.
Why?
Heyo.
because of
Yeah.
the age of Aquarius.
It's when everything shifted.
What shifted?
The what he's
Planet?
talking about, yeah, like so people born in May now aren't born under the Taurus stars. They're born under the Pisces stars or whatever.
Because when they developed this and they were doing astrology, like they were basing it off of that what they saw. But there's been a shift. So now because there's a shift, it's not the same time frame. Like the month of Aries is not April. It's
Was
something
it
else.
like overnight or like
No, well,
gradually?
because like every
No,
year, like
over-
the
yeah.
you know how we set back the clocks
Yeah.
and forth. Okay, so
Which I think only we do, by the way.
No, it's not daylight savings.
no, but I'm just saying like things like that where gradually over time, like
Oh, it's to correct it?
it's not exactly 365 days to the year. So there's gonna be like
That's why there's leap year.
a day that where it's like it gets a little bit shifted.
Wasn't it also because during that time frame, and correct me if I'm wrong, but there's also just like every like 12,000 years or something, which is why like we shift those ages and whatnot, but like there's polar magnetic shifts as well, which is what makes the shift in the
Yeah,
Earth.
because
So once the
true
Earth
north-
changes that,
That's-
then
that's
that's
the
why
main
you don't
reason
see the
why.
same thing anymore.
Because true north, it shifts like this. So the Earth, it doesn't stay still. It's like teetering like this. So like, for example, like the Mayans or I think it was the Aztecs or whatever, they calculated the correct north during their time, but it's off alignment now because basically the Earth had its polar shift. Or like it's like a tilt, right? So then they seem like they were off by a few degrees, but they're actually right.
Which is probably, I believe, also why they calculated the whole myth that in 2012 was the end of the world. It was because it was the end of the Mayan calendar, right? In terms of like how things were meant to be accurate to that understanding. But obviously,
So like we probably don't need more than 2012. That's like a long time from now.
or just like the math is perfect until then. After that, you guys figure it out.
Yeah.
Make your own new calendar.
Heavy load carrying right now.
Hopefully, the aliens come down to help you with your math at that time.
Like hopefully they come back.
Yeah.
Because they helped us.
Or they ran out of ayahuasca and they couldn't think anymore.
They ran out.
You need more toads to lick.
I wonder at what point, like, how much that was real and then the art was lost throughout history.
What art?
Like, what if it was like horoscopes and all those like what do you call it, astrology
Astrology,
because there's
yeah.
Chinese astrology too, and there's a lot of more like that in ancient religions, but then throughout time you corrupt it with money and all this stuff, and then it's like the spirituality and all that stuff disappears and it becomes a business, right?
We have totally lost our way.
Yeah, we're not in tune with the nature the same way anymore.
Because even there's a lot of Buddhism that's like that, like where it's like it used to be connected or whatever, and then now you just go there and it's like a gold palace, and you just you pay for like forgiveness, and that's like most religion,
Or you
right?
pay for your wishes.
So feng shui is similar too, where it's based on the like orientation of your door to your house and stuff. And so, like one direction is fire, and then this is water, and over here's wood, and here's metal, and you put different objects represent those things, and they also hold meaning. Like the fire is your respect corner, like fame, respect, prestige, all of that, and it's associated with red, and anything like fiery, and the shape is triangle. So like all things that are like candles or, you know, star shapes or lights or that goes in that area. Then there's destructive elements like water puts out fire. So if you put water elements in the fire, you're ruining your prestige or you're ruining your respect area.
So then what happens at that point?
I like fire.
It just like cancels it?
Yeah, like so if
You're in neutral ground.
well, if you look at your life and you're like, oh, like my career is not doing so hot. Like what's going on over here? And yeah, then you look at like career is represented by water, and like the destructive element is earth. So maybe you have a lot of like yellow in that area, or you have a lot of earth stuff in that area. So, and it's not about like the actual thing. People get really wrapped up in like, oh, if I put this dumb object here, then it means something. No, if you have that attitude, then it doesn't matter what you put there. It's more about the intentions, like you were talking about, like the intent to fix this area up, and then you're just like naturally you're thinking about your career more, but it's to get the energy flowing in a certain way in your house.
The attitude in general to care enough means that you have an attitude that cares.
Yeah.
But what about the special powers? That's what I care about. I want to meditate so fucking hard that aliens talk to me and I have a special message that nobody fucking
You gotta do
believes
DMT
in.
for that.
That sounds some real shit though, right? Like people that like
You're not that special,
use
Joe.
meditation,
Not to
right,
be.
to like enter higher frequencies to do things like physical healing even.
That's what I'm trying to do.
That's a real thing.
He does the Wim Hof breathing to heal everything.
You do Wim Hof breathing?
Yeah, but I'm not disciplined right now.
You're like, he's lost the
I'm on lesson 3. I just did video 3.
Video 3.
I mean, that stuff is
on VHS tape
powerful.
3.
That stuff is
What's that?
the Wim Hof breathing technique. This guy is super famous for like being able to like climb like Mount Everest with his like shirt off and stuff because he's been able to use breathing techniques to use his mental power to control his like, you know,
Entire body.
Dude, you know, I was just talking to Isaac about that recently where I forgot the beginning of the
You're like,
conversation.
Isaac, I want you to go climb Mount
No,
Everest.
not that. No, it was more like mind over matter thing where I forgot what the context of the conversation was, but it led to me saying something along the lines of like, you know, I'm able to like find peace in pain. So like when I'm in physical pain, it's because we had just gotten back from the orthodontist, so we both had the same orthodontist, so he like got tightened and stuff, and then I got new trays, so it, like everything was like pulsating.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And so he was just like, he was in a lot of pain, and I was like, Isaac, honestly, me too. And we're like driving home, and I'm like, you know what I tend to do that I end up finding peace in pain is where like I'm focusing on how like the sensations of what it feels like, so I could feel like the tingling moving from my jaw going all the way up to the top of my skull, and like I feel it like pulsating, but it's like a warm pulse, and it's like a slightly sharp, and like I'm describing what it feels like, and the more I describe it, the more I'm able to like cope with it, and like it's okay, like it doesn't
Almost
like,
embracing it a little bit.
yeah, it's like embracing it. It doesn't tear me apart where I'm like, oh my god, my head, like fuck, you know, and like that just makes it worse. So I was kind of like trying to tell him like I think it's a sense of like mindfulness that you're able to deal with physical pain.
That's how exercise is.
Yeah.
It's like when you're running, you're like, oh my god, this fucking hurts my body. But then if you're like, you just focus on breathing, you're like, oh, actually, okay, I could feel free. I could feel free in this. But if you're like, oh, how do I do it? Then you can't breathe, and then you don't relax.
And if when you start looking at the time, like you're like, I'm gonna go run for 20 minutes, you're like, okay, you're running, you're like, oh, that's gotta have been 5 minutes, and you look and it's only like, yeah, you're like, shit.
Time goes super slow when you're
I
running.
try to go by the songs. I'm like, if each song's about 4 minutes, then if I go five
making
songs,
negotiations.
yeah, on this song I'll go faster. On this song I'll sprint for the first part of it until the chorus or whatever.